We're, well, about to say off, but we're not really off at all because we bogged down once again. Absolutely terrible start once more. I'm not quite sure the reason why we were bogging down horribly off the line there. Nothing's changed with regards to start procedure from Alton Park, but twice now in very good positions we've bogged down. And as we come down into turn number 1, it's going to be utter carnage, and we're actually going to have someone barrel roll over the front of us. What's going on, guys? My name is Matinio and welcome back to Project Cars 2 and round 2 of the WSRC Touring Car Championships. This week, as you can see on screen, we are at the absolutely awesome Long Beach circuit, and once again this round will comprise of 2 races. We'll be starting off with a 15-minute sprint race, and that will be followed up by a 21-lap feature race which will have a mandatory pit stop. And before we jump into the races and the qualifying and so on and so forth, there is one thing I need to sort of make you aware of, and that is that unfortunately for both of these races and the sprint race for Laguna Seca, which is round 3, there is no live commentary audio. And the reason for that is my stupid Elgato software decided it would be an absolutely great idea to change what microphone it was getting the commentary audio from. So it changed it from my Blue Snowball microphone, which is the only one that's plugged in, to the headphone, or sorry, to the microphone on my PC headset, which actually isn't plugged in. So I didn't realise this until I went through the entirety of this race and then into the recording for round 3 as well, and it was only halfway through that recording that I actually figured out that it wasn't getting commentary audio, basically. So yeah, so that's the reason why everything's going to be post commentary throughout both of the races here today. So yeah, but enough of that. What we're going to do now is we are going to jump into the races themselves. We're going to start off by taking a look at how myself and everybody else got on in qualifying for the sprint race. So on to qualifying, and this time around in qualifying, unlike last week, was absolutely brilliant. As you can see, we just went fastest, but that time is quickly going to be struck off as Chris Jones goes faster. But yeah, like I said, it's complete polar opposites compared to how it was at Alton Park, and you know, I had a bit more time to practice and find the groove. But I think the big thing about it with this car and this track in particular is the track is relatively flat for the most part. And I don't think this car deals very well with undulating circuits, so it was a lot simpler to drive the car. There were a couple of trouble in some areas. This corner in particular, it's a little bit off camber, did upset the rear a little bit, and it can if you take a bit too much speed into there, and also get on the curbing a little bit. But yeah, like I said, it was just absolute polar opposites, and I came into this round a little bit fearful, considering how badly we did in the first round. To come in and be right at the pointy end of the grid in terms of qualifying was very, very good. I knew we'd do a little bit better here because I had a lot more confidence in the car. I wasn't having to hesitate and tippy toe and drive within myself just to keep this thing on the track. I could really push it and start to find the ragged edge, find the limit with this car, which was really, really good. And like I said, I found the group with setup, made some changes, got some help with setup, but I made some changes to it to suit myself down to the ground, so to speak. But yeah, so like I said, complete polar opposites compared to the first round at Alton Park. And as you can see, we're already up on this lap. So as we come across the line though, it's going to be a 126.392, which for some reason changed to a 126.412 on the actual board here, so I'm not quite sure why that's happening, but regardless. But yeah, like I said, at qualifying, we sit in 2nd place, which is our best qualifying performance of the season. Chris Jones takes pole position, of course, in his first race. You may recognise him. He's a frequent commentator, sorry, not commentator, commenter on my Hill Climb Monsters video, so it's good to see one of the subscribers getting involved here. Then we've got JRBW in 3rd place after myself. We've got Nasty PJ, Paul R87, Twisted Tyre Fitter, MJ Corker, Vectra, Mac Jeffrey and Peo rounding out the top 10. Some of the guys you can't see, Atrius, Alpha Burrock, there's a couple of other names in there as well. BMC Racing is down there as well. But yeah, that was the qualifying order. It's actually started off as a grid of 15, but it was reduced to 13 at the start of the race, which we're going to see in a few moments' time. But what we're going to do before we jump into the race itself, we're going to just refresh our memory with regards to the championship standings, and they're on screen now. So as we can see, Twisted Tyre Fitter sits top of the table with 26 points, and then there's a big 12-point gap down to the next three, which is Peo, Matt, Jeffrey and Mitch, who are all tied on 14 points apiece. Then we've got BMC on 13, Trappy on 12, Silverwolf and Nasty PJ tied on 11 points apiece. Then we've got Tom on 10, myself on 9.5, Tyler and Bob on 8, and our teammate Cherry Glenn, who isn't there for this race weekend, on 3.5. But yeah, so there's the championship standings. We've seen qualifying, so what we have to do now is we have to go and take a look and see how myself and everybody else got on in the sprint race. So let's do it. Okay then guys, here we go. Third race of the season. And there's the green. And oh, we bogged down horribly off the line. We get a little bit of a nudge from, I think it was Nasty PJ there. And we've got JRBW up the inside of us going down towards turn number 1. So we've dropped to third position. So like I said, not a great start. It just bogged down horribly. But as we come down into turn number 1, you can see PJ looks up the inside. There's no gap there at all. We get spun around. And we're right at the back of the grid once again. So for the third race running, the first corner has seen us drop spectacularly down the order. We're not the only ones here. We've got a couple who have had trouble. Looks like Atreus and Alpha Burrock, I think it was. No more room to make a pass here. And again, you just get all caught up in the pack. And this is the problem when you get into those first corner accidents. Like I said, I was pretty much minding my own business, but you just get dropped down into the pack, which is not a good place to be. And again, we just get absolutely brake checked there for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. But yeah, that was that really annoyed me, to be honest. It's probably a good job that there isn't any live commentary audio for this, because it is it's quite a vulgar commentary, if I'm being honest with you, because there were just accidents galore. Again, here we get nudged. There was a big gap up the inside, but yeah, it just... I was really annoyed by this because we had this problem. You know, admittedly the second race was my fault at Alton Park, but again, sort of minding my own business, go to make a corner, we get taken out. PJ was the culprit, but he has apologised for that, so you know, I accept that. It's just at the time it was very, very annoying. But as we come down towards the final corner to end the lap, you can see here Atreus gets into a little bit of bother. This chicane, not chicane, sorry, hairpin catches out of quite a few people, but we're going to have a nice little run on him down this long and curve straight down towards turn number 1. He is carrying quite a bit of damage, so we might have the slight performance advantage going down towards turn number 1. We get on the brakes, we get a little bit of a nudge just there, but it's not enough to put us off, and we just about keep it out of the wall. Maybe just scrape a bit of the paint off, but we move ourselves up into 10th position and begin yet another recovery drive. I think is the best way we can describe it, actually. And once again, we're up behind Alpha Burrock now, going through this tricky corner. Again, that's a corner that quite a few people get caught out on. Again, it feels a little bit off camber, so very easy for this car to just snap its rear away, and then you know, you're in all sorts of problems, because it is very difficult to get it back once you have snapped that rear end loose. Again, we are starting to catch up. I mean, like I said, I was annoyed because we had a really good amount of pace through this track, but as you can see, we get a better run out of that corner down towards the back end of the lap. We're going side by side. We've got the inside line, but he's going to be very brave on the brakes. See, a little bit of a lock up there from him, and he's going to hang it around the outside, so I should commend that as a really good defensive driving there. But again, just getting held up a little bit now, you can see, as we come on to the final corner. And again, it's just such a difficult hairpin. Even in this car, it's a very difficult hairpin to get right. So moving ahead now onto the back end of lap number 4. As you can see, we are just behind Alpha Burrock still, but we've also got Tom for company now. He's been dragged into this battle, so 6th, 7th and 8th pretty much line astern as we run down the start-finish straight to start lap number 5. And as you can see, they're starting to pull away from us a little bit. Alpha Burrock may be getting a little bit of a toe off of Tom as we move down towards turn 1. But what we're going to do here is we're going to open up the corner as much as possible, so we can take a little bit of extra speed through turn number 1. And it seems to work as we get up the inside of Alpha Burrock now. going to be a little bit of a squeeze, having to taper the throttle, but we make the move stick and we move ourselves up into 7th place. But as you can see, Tom is all over the place, really struggling with that car, and then unexpectedly I hit the back of him. Really wasn't expecting him to be that slow in what would be an acceleration zone, but no excuses. We probably will have to serve some sort of retrospective penalty for that incident, which I'll have to accept. So jumping ahead once again now to the start of lap number 9, as you can see we've put a bit of a gap between ourselves and Alpha Burke behind, and we've now closed up to the back of Matt Jeffrey, who's getting all tangled up with a back marker. It's BMC Racing, and we get completely cut off there. Take evasive action, tried to make a move, but did we get blocked off, or was he trying to get out of the way? Let me know in the comments, guys. But yeah, coming through into turn number 3 now. And again, still got this back marker to contend with. Matt Jeffrey gets in the wall just a little bit. And once again, you're going to see back marker gets into the wall. Matt Jeffrey gets a good piece of him, as do we. And admittedly, this did annoy me a little bit. I'm sure BMC wasn't trying to block us off, and he's trying to run his own race. But I think I said to the tune of "get the F out of my way," which is it's probably again good that we don't have the live commentary, because it would be quite vulgar and quite filled with a lot of swearing, I suppose you could say. But yeah, moving on, we've still got about a minute 45 of the race left, so there's about another lap or two still to go. We are going to complete this lap, and we're going to have another one after it as we try and chase down Matt Jeffrey, but he's going to get it all wrong into this corner. It gets into the barriers a little bit. We sense our chance. We stick it up the inside. A little bit of contact there on the right rear, but we make the move stick, and we move ourselves up into what I think is a very, very good 5th place as things stand. But now we're going to move ahead one last time, and this is to the back end of lap number 12, the final lap of the race. I didn't think it'd go to lap number 12, but we did actually make it to there. So still in 5th place, as you can see. Didn't have enough time to close up on the top 4, but as we come through the final corner, considering, you know, we had a poor start off the line, we dropped to 3rd place, we got spun around at the first corner. I think to recover and come back and to finish 5th is a pretty good result, all told, actually. And you know, I suppose I can look back on it and say I probably could have done better, but I completely balls the start up, and if I hadn't have done that, maybe we could have had a better chance to get some more points there. But I think 5th place for a recovery driver is a pretty good job all in all. But let's take a look and see how the rest of us got on. So looking at the standings now, as you can see, Chris Jones won from pole position. Very, very good race for him. Then we've got Peo in 2nd place, so an absolutely brilliant run for him. I think he started a bit further down the order, so a very, very good race for him. He picked his way through the carnage. Then we've got Vectra in 3rd place, JLBW in 4th. Then we've got myself in 5th, Alpha Borak, Atreus and Tom. Then we've got Matt Jeffrey and MJ Corker. The other ones that you can't see would be guys like BMC Racing, Tyler Assenbaum and so on and so forth. But yeah, like I said, I think it was a pretty good result all in all. So yeah, what we're going to do now though is we've still got one more race to run at Long Beach, the feature race. So let's jump ahead and take a look and see how myself and everybody else got on in qualifying for the feature race. So on to qualifying for the feature race, and as you can see as things stand at the moment, we are currently sitting on pole position, so we're doing very, very well there as things stand. But as we come down towards turn number 1, we can see someone's coming out of the pits, so we're going to have to negotiate them. We maybe have to compromise ourselves just a little bit. We get onto the rumble strips and just tag the wall just a little bit there as we come down into the fountain section. And this guy, not quite sure who it is, they're going to jump out of the way, of which we are much appreciative of. And coming down into turn 3 and up to turn number 4, this tricky turn 4 that's slightly off camber, we get maybe a little bit too much of the rumble strips, have to just adjust just a little bit, be a little bit hesitant on the throttle. But we make it through there okay. And yeah, I mean, honestly, pretty good that we get a clear run for the final lap of qualifying. I think you know, I felt I was getting more into it. The more laps I did, the faster I felt I was getting in qualifying itself. As things stand, we're still down on our best qualifying lap, which has us sitting in pole, though we're still 4 tenths up over Chris Jones, who I think did a 1:26.9, so that's a good 9 or 8 tenths of a second off what his qualifying lap in the sprint race was. But as we come through this long left-hander into the final turn, this hairpin right down into 1st gear, get the car settled just about, have to adjust a little bit. We didn't quite get it as we wanted to, but we're still 9 tenths up on our previous lap. Is it going to be good enough to extend our lead at the top of the standings? It is, and it's going to mean for the first time this season we have taken pole position. So absolutely brilliant run there. Very, very happy with it. It was only about a tenth of a second faster than our sprint race qualifier. So I think the big difference is that Chris Jones didn't hook up the lap as well as he did in the sprint race. But take a look at the rest of the standings. As you can see here, Chris Jones in second, JRBW in third. Then we've got Peo in fourth. We've got MJ Corker in fifth. A very good qualifying for him. Nasty PJ in sixth. And we've got Vectra and Paul R in seventh and eighth, rounding out row number 4. And rounding out the top 10, we've got Alpha Burrick in ninth and Matt Jeffrey in 10th. So yeah, very, very good qualifying. Very pleased with it to get our first pole position of the season, but that's only half the job, as we know. So what we're going to do now is we are going to head down to the track, and we're going to see how myself and everybody else got on in the feature race. Okay then guys, here we go. 3 red lights, followed by a green. And we're, well, about to say off, but we're not really off at all because we bogged down once again. Absolutely terrible start once more. I'm not quite sure the reason why we were bogging down horribly off the line there. Nothing's changed with regards to the start procedure from Alton Park, but twice now in very good positions we've bogged down. And as we come down into turn number 1, it's going to be utter carnage. And we're actually going to have someone barrel roll over the front of us. I'm not quite sure it was. It possibly could have been MJ Corker, but I'm not entirely sure. And we get a bit of minor front end damage, so I think we got away lucky there. But we've, from pole position, by the end of the, by turn 1 basically, we've fallen all the way down to 7th place. So really disappointing. And again, just absolute carnage at turn 1. There's nothing to win at turn number 1, but there's everything to lose. So once again, as it was in the sprint race, we've got an absolute mountain to climb, and we've got it all to do once again, so we're on a recovery drive. Okay guys, so we're going to jump ahead now to what is the beginning part of lap number 2. And as you can see, we've caught up to the pack a little bit. We've got Matt Jeffrey and I think it's Atreus who are just ahead of him. He gets a little bit wide and maybe gets a little bit out of shape, and as he's adjusting, Matt Jeffrey has to get out of it a little bit. But we're definitely closing up to the pack, and we've also got Paul just ahead of them as well in the orange car. As you can see, Matt Jeffrey gets a little bit out of shape on the exit there, and that's going to give us the chance to get down the inside and hopefully get a good run now on Atreus, who looks like he may be struggling with the car a little bit. As you can see there, we've also got Green, done a personal best in the second sector there, but as we come down towards the last few corners again, you can see how we're struggling with it. We're going to have a look what would be on the inside here, but they're outside of the penultimate corner. We're going to try and hang it round the outside there, but out on the dirty side of the track, we just can't get it slowed down. We nudge him a little bit, and Matt Jeffrey gets back around the outside of us. And then we've also got Nasty PJ to contend with as well. He's followed us through, so what you're looking at here is 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, pretty much line astern going into the start of lap number 3 now. And you can see Matt Jeffrey is getting so much closer to the back of Atreus now. He may have a chance to look down into turn 1 to maybe take the position, but he nudges him just there, and that forces Atreus wide, and he slows down to probably give him the place back, and that gives us the opportunity to jump a couple of positions. So now we're up to 5th. So we move on to lap number 5, and as you can see, we've got Paul just ahead of us. We've caught up to the back of him after coming through Matt Jeffrey and Atreus, who had their little drama a couple of 2 or 3 laps earlier. We've taken Nasty PJ along for the ride as well, so you've got 4th, 5th and 6th pretty much nose to tail as we come down to the back end of lap number 5. And as you can see, Paul seems to be struggling with the car. He doesn't get that corner right, and coming into this long left-hander, this penultimate corner, he's to lock up the brakes, and that's going to get him all out of shape for the hairpin, which, it's a concertina effect out there, so if the person in front has a problem, everybody behind pretty much will as well. We make it through just about unscathed. Had a little bit more front damage though, but we move on towards the start of lap number 6 now. You can see Paul's taking a very wide line through here, not like myself and PJ, but whether PJ's following me, I'm not too sure. But coming into lap number 1, Paul brakes very, very early, catches a little bit unawares, and that's just the fact that Tom is crossing the pit exit marker there, and we run wider down the slip road, and yeah, there you go. All the hard work pretty much goes out the window, and as you just about see there, Alpha Burrock follows through as well, so he moves up into 6th place. So from 4th place to 7th in very quick succession, so all the hard work goes out the window, and we've got it all to do again. So on to lap number 9, and as you can see, we've moved up to 6th place courtesy of some pit stops, so we've got Alpha Burrock still just ahead of us. But as we come down to this left hand, you can see he's just got his braking zone all wrong there, and then what catches us out is the fact that he resets the track. It really breaks my concentration. As you can see, we lose the back end of the car, tag the wall just a little bit, but in a round that's had so many incidents that's annoyed me, that was just another one of them, as we really shouldn't be resetting to the track there. But pushing on down the back straight towards the final 3 corners, you can see just ahead Paul and Nasty PJ getting into it, and Paul again does what Alpha Burrock does. He gets his braking zone all wrong and runs down the escape road, but he spins it around and rejoins the way you should. But moving into the final corner now, we've moved ourselves up into 4th position now, as we come down the start-finish straight towards the start of lap number 10, but our pit stop isn't too far away. So we move ahead now on to lap number 12, and as you can see, we've still got Alpha Burrock for company, and there's Paul there also. However, Paul is actually a lap down at the moment. This is his out lap from his one and only pit stop. But as we come onto the back straight, get a little bit wide there, almost getting to the wall, and there it is. There's the call to come into the pits at the end of this lap, so this will serve as our in lap now. And as we push into the final few corners of the lap itself, and we're going to get a bit of a surprise as we come through this long left-hander. You got Matt Jeffrey sitting there, so we have to adjust, and that maybe compromises it just a little bit along with everybody else, but we just about stay unscathed, and then we duck into this quite a difficult and odd pit entry, but we're into the pit lane now. And yeah, like I said, finding a car stricken pretty much coming up to the last corner, which is near enough always single file. Definitely compromised our in-lap a little bit, but I can't really say there's anyone to blame. Everybody makes mistakes in that sort of area, I think. So yeah, but it's also a very, very long pit lane as well, so we still can't really see our pit crew. Oh, there they are. So we're coming down towards our pit box now, and we do have set to fix some damage, so it is going to be a little bit longer than it normally should be. And there goes the fuel. So I changed tactics on this one. I went for fuel and tyres, so I only went a little way on both. But there go the front tyres there, and I don't know. This just annoys me, the fact that there's only 2 guys changing tyres. I mean, there's 4 guys there. Why don't the other bloody lot do something? Lazy gits. You don't need 4 guys to hold, 2 tyres basically. But there we go, and now it's going to go to repair some damage, and this does take again a lot longer, and you can just see how long this pit stop's taking. 35, 36, 37. So as we come down nearly 40 seconds, we were stood stationary in the pit box, and including how long this the pit lane is. Really, really long pit stop, and I really regret going for fuel and tyres now. But we're back out and into 7th place, so we've still got a lot of work to do. So we move on to lap number 15 now, and the start of lap number 15 pretty much. So as you can see, we've caught right up to the back of Vectra, who was just in view as we exited the pit. So we've used those fresh tyres, we've got them up to temperature, and we've used those fresh tyres to good effect there. I'm not sure what Vectra went for on his pit stop, whether he had new tyres and he went early, or he just went with fuel and no tyres, but you can see we're definitely catching him hand over fist as things stand at the moment. And as he comes down to this tricky downhill braking zone, he's going to get it all wrong there. He's going to clatter the tyre wall there. That's going to add a big chunk of damage to the nose of his car. So we've now moved up into 6th position. So yeah, I mean, it might be a bit of an ask. You can see there's a fairly sizable gap between ourselves in the 6th and Nasty PJ in 5th position. So we've only got like 5 or 6 laps left to go. So we've got it all to do still, and yeah, but it might be a little bit too much to ask for on this occasion. So on to what is the final lap of the race now. As you can see, we've pulled the gap down between ourselves and Nasty PJ. We've taken maybe about 5 seconds out of it over the last you know, 5 or 6 laps, but it's definitely not going to be enough. As I said in the previous highlight, it's just not enough time to do it. And yeah, I think the pit stop and the way we did the pit stop really compromised us, and I don't think everybody, I think some went for just fuel, some went for just tyres and had a full tank of fuel from the start. We went halfway and it just really didn't pan out. So but I mean, like I said, getting into a big accident at the start of the race once again. We recovered up to 4th, but then we had a little bit of a mistake, so it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen the other, you know, getting caught in accidents that weren't our fault and then making silly mistakes. It's kind of compromised us here, but as we come down the start-finish straight and across the line, it's going to be a 6th place finish. So yeah, again, I think ultimately very disappointing, considering we've started on the front row twice and we haven't finished on the podium in either race. I think you could say that's a pretty disappointing evening's work, to be perfectly honest with you. So yeah, 6th place. Can't win them all, I suppose, but what we're going to do now is we are going to take a look and see how everybody else got on, and take a look at the standings in the post-race analysis. So there you have it then, guys. 6th place in the feature race, and yeah, like I said, really disappointing if I'm being perfectly honest. Like I said in the you know, just after the race, to start on the front row twice, once from pole position, and to finish 5th and 6th is really disappointing. And though 5th and 6th have been our best results of the season so far, yeah, can't help but be disappointed with this. The first race, sprint race, really wasn't our fault getting involved in that incident. The second one, again, wasn't really our fault, though we did make some more mistakes in the feature race. But yeah, ultimately a very disappointing round. Take a look at the results from the feature race though. And JRBW gets his first race win of the season. I think this is his first round, so very well done to him. Then we've got Chris Jones in 2nd place. He started on the pole, but JRBW just had a little bit extra for this race, so well done to him. Then we've got Peo in 3rd place, once again on the podium as he was in the sprint race as well. Then we've got Alpha Borak, Nasty PJ, myself in 6th place as we know, Paul in 7th, Tyler Rattenbaum in 8th, Matt Jeffrey in 9th, and Atreus rounds out the top 10. And there were a couple of other guys. We did lose a couple of races. I think we lost MJ Cork, who had that big barrel roll at the at turn 1 at the start of the feature race, and I think we lost some more as well. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the standings, and as you can see, it's all changed. There's a lot more names on there than there were at the start of the race, and at the top of that list you've got Peo following his double podium finish around the streets of Long Beach. He now sits top of the table on 32.5 points. Then we've got Twisted Tyre Fit, who won the opening 2 rounds of the season at Alton Park. He is in 2nd. Then we've got Chris Jones, who got his first pole position and win of the season at Long Beach in the sprint race there. He's on 23, tied with Matt Jeffrey, who's also on 23. We've moved ourselves up into 5th place on 22 points. They've got Nasty PJ on 20.5, JRBW, who won the feature race, there on 19.5. Then we've got Tom on 18, BMC on 16.5, and Tyler Rattenbaum on 15.5, and that rounds out the top 10. A few more familiar names on there. If you look further down the standings, you've got Mitch in 11th, you've got Atreus and Silverwolf in 15th and 16th respectively, and Cherry Glen at the bottom of the pile there in 19th. However, he has missed he missed Long Beach completely, so that's the reason for that. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the end of today's video. So the next round, we are heading to Laguna Seca. Now, at the point of recording this commentary, we've already done the race, so I've got quite a bit of catching up to do. So more than likely, that race will be coming on Monday afternoon. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do to keep up to date with all the new rounds as they come out. So, but yeah, that is basically the end of today's video, guys. So thank you everybody everybody so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, would like to see more Project Cars 2 or just general racing content from myself, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you want to get involved with the guys from the weekly Sim Racing Championships, there is loads of different events that are run, not just on Monday nights, which is when this happens, but lots of different categories, lots of different racing, and also some inter-group racing as well, some other sim racing, Project Cars 2 Facebook groups interact with ourselves and we race against them, so there's plenty to do, and I'm sure this is to suit you. So if you want to get involved, make sure you check the link to their Facebook group in the description. Tell them Matinho sent you. But once again guys, thank you everybody so much for watching, stay cool, and as always I will catch you in the next video. Peace.